Hey there, it's Shauna. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for May 28th. So this week is all about finding answers, and the first question you may be asking is, Shauna, where are you? What has happened to your normal background? So I'm actually out of town. I'm at the United Astrology Conference in Chicago, so bear with me while my background is a little bit messy. And at the end of this video, I'll show you the little skyline. It's really beautiful outside, and it's been hot. So this week is going to be really cool, and it's definitely this theme of finding answers and getting more clarity on things. As always, I have 3 tips for you to make the most of this week. So first thing that's happening this week is on Tuesday we have a full moon in Sagittarius. And so this is exact on Tuesday at 7:19 a.m. Pacific time at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. And so full moons are this time of culmination, this time of celebration. And Sagittarius is about the wisdom that we seek when we go on new adventures and new experiences. And Sagittarius is about understanding. It's a very philosophical kind of sign, so it's very much about discovering the meaning behind things, the philosophy behind things, and it's a great time to seek answers. The full moon is also a time where people tend to feel more emotionally intense because the moon symbolizes our emotional center, and when it's full, it's like everything is lit up, everything is bright, everything's at maximum capacity. So that's like the underlying emotional tone for this week. The other thing we have happening is we have a grand trine between Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. And so a grand trine is just a fancy way of saying that there's 2 trines that are coming together, and it makes a little triangle when you're looking at an astrology chart. And so this is a really cool aspect because it's like a very artistic, dreamy kind of vibe. We have Venus, which is about relationships, in the sign of Cancer, which is about nurturing and connection and also creativity. Jupiter in Scorpio, Jupiter is all about expanding possibilities. It's about inclusion. It's about learning new things, discovering new things. It's got like the gypsy spirit in a certain way also. And then Neptune is about the mystical things. It's about intuition and connecting to subtle gut feelings. And all of this energy is uber creative, very creative, heavy emphasis on intuition. So the trine is when things come more easily. It's like an effortless kind of flow. So if you have any creative work that you're doing, this is a fantastic week for it. Totally lean into that. If you have any work where it's like connecting with people as well, Venus is involved, so that's beneficial too. And it could also, the problematic side of this is it could be where you just feel like you need a ton of downtime, and maybe you feel like you don't want to connect with people, you want to go inside. That can be helpful too. So I would notice, you know, what your temperament is, what your natural tendencies are. If you tend to be overwhelmed by a lot of stimulus, this week you may need extra downtime, especially with that full moon. So that's that. And then the last thing that we have happening is Mercury trine Mars. So Mercury is the mind, it's our thought process, logic, and then Mars is action, initiation. And this I see as like this little spark towards the end of the week where things maybe click into place mentally and you find answers or information, or you know, Mercury, where you want to go, Mars. So again, earlier in the week it may feel like things are really dreamy and maybe a little bit confusing, and Mercury like mushy, and where you're like, I just want to chill all day, or things feel too intense. And then later in the week I feel like that starts to lighten and the fog lifts, so to speak. So that being said, I have 3 tips for you to really make the most of this. Tip number 1 is to seek answers. So this week you really benefit from asking questions, going after, like investigating something it is that you want to know about. And that can be solitary research, that can be connecting with other people. I think it could really go either way with this astrology. And what matters is what it is that you're working on and your personal temperament, what what your astrology is, if you know where this is activating, especially if you know where the full moon is activating your chart, which house it's falling in. And so seeking answers is super helpful this week, especially because it's Mercury trine Mars. That's like all of this is very flowing and harmonious aspects for you to receive what it is that you need at this time. Tip number 2 is to connect. And so I say this because we have that Venus in Cancer, which is super about connection. Venus is about relationships, how it is that we socialize with other people. At the same time, it's making these aspects to Neptune and to Jupiter, and it's in the sign of Cancer, which can be a more introverted kind of energy. So this may be more about connecting with yourself. Doing journaling, doing self-reflection, doing meditation, especially around the time of the full moon. Excellent time to do meditation. So I would check in with how you're feeling and then set like a conscious decision to connect either with other people or with yourself this week. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to do a ritual on or around the full moon. And this can be as elaborate as you like. It can be as simple as just lighting a candle and asking for peace and fulfillment, or whatever it is that you want. But I love ritual. I love the idea of ritual as something that we just do as a practice that we enjoy, not necessarily to like manifest or to like get something, but a sweet ritual feels very appropriate this week. And I still love seeing, if you have my 2018 moon journal, I love seeing photos of when you are using that in your rituals during the full moons or the new moons. If you want to share any of those, you can tag me on Instagram under Neo-Feminine Astrology. So that's a beautiful way, but again, if you don't have that, or if you want to do something very simple, I think my point is it doesn't matter how elaborate something is, if it has like where you feel it with your heart that there is something that you want to do around this full moon that feels like a ritual, that feels like it has a purpose, that can be very beautiful and sweet during this week. So that's your astrology for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Oh, I almost forgot. I have a little quote for us that I wanted to share. I get a little spacey when I'm traveling. So I thought this quote was very appropriate for this week. This is from J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series of novels. She says, "Destiny is a name often given in retrospect to choices that had dramatic consequences." And so this may seem like out of left field, but I thought this was really perfect because it is like when we say something was destined, or we say something was meant to be, or we're like, oh, something destined or meant to be is going to happen. This happens a lot in astrology. We use these terms. It's like, it's such a subjective thing, and it's more about the feeling than anything. And so I would just notice like what's happening this week, how you're feeling. And I think that we use the term destiny really to define when there's a strong feeling, when there's a strong calling and a strong pull. And at the end of the day, it's really up to you to whether you follow that call or not. And I think that gets into a whole other debate. I was one of the talks that I was, a few of the talks that I've been attending this week have had an emphasis on like the idea between fate and free will, and how much we have free will and that kind of thing. So I thought this was just a very appropriate quote that, you know, maybe we can reframe the idea of fate and free will and destiny as these are just ways that we describe how it is that we feel about something, how compelled we feel to act or to not act, etc. So, and then I want to finish this up with drawing a little card for us. So this is from my deck that I've been kind of playing with for myself, the Radiant. I'll show you the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot deck. It's a more traditional deck. There's no animals in it, but I like it because it's a little more practical, and it's it often has more real world life themes, and you'll see what I mean when I draw cards. So so this is just an energy for the week for you to tune into what is. Ooh, this is such a beautiful card. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So this is the Empress. So, okay, the Empress, first, number one, look at the little Venus sign. So the Empress is about feminine energy. When I think of the Empress, I actually think very much of Cancerian energy. The Empress is creative feminine energy, and what I think of as like more of static creative feminine energy, like where there's a lot of holding and nurturing and this ability to nurture new life, to nurture what it is that's emerging in your life. It's a very it's a card that really emphasizes holding and receptivity and allowing something to grow and to come out in a very organic way. There's no need to push or to force, but there's definitely a need and encouragement to tune into what's happening and how you can allow for something to like blossom, so to speak. So really cool card. And you can Google way more information on that too, if you just Google the Empress card in Tarot. So that is your horoscope for the week. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to find more of me, you can find me on Neo Feminine TV. You can find all of the episodes that I do, and I'm going to be doing a live episode this Thursday, like every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and that will be live on YouTube. Also, if you want to tune more into the moon cycles, you can get my 2018 Moon Journal printable PDF version. I'll have a link down below to get that on Etsy. It's really cool. You can just download it right away, get it instantly. And then also, if you are interested in working with me, figuring out your own personal astrology or coaching and counseling, you can find out more about that under my website, neofemininetv.fireside.fm. So I'm wishing you an amazing week. Oh, and I'll show you guys the view here. See if I can do it. Look at how beautiful it is out there. It's a gorgeous day. It was like 80 today. It's really nice. So that's all. Bye.